Okay, we are about 3 minutes to the top of the hour, and if we do nothing else, we start at the top of the hour. So we've got participants logging on. Welcome. We are so excited that you're here, and buckle up and get ready for a lot of engagement and activity. And so as you're logging on, find the chat box and let us know where you are, and even if you like what your business does. So let's log on, get in the chat. We've got national experts for you, answers to your questions, and a secret mission. Okay, so drop in the chat. Let us know where you're here from. Tell us a little bit about your company, and let's just see who's here. We are offering you the opportunity to connect with each other as well. So please drop in the chat a little bit about you and where you're here from, please. Let's see who's in the, as they say, in the room where it happens. Bob Rook.
Hey, Bob.
Awesome. Hey, good to see you. You're one of our climbing buddies before all this came down. Hi. If you're just arriving, please drop something in the chat and let us know where you're here from. Come on in. We're going to get started at the top of the hour, which is in just a minute here. Hey, Tammy. Good to meet you. Good to see you again. Wonderful. Pat Daughter. We have one of our friends from our Procurement Technical Assistance Center in beautiful Minneapolis, Minnesota. Awesome. If you're here, we're going to get started at the top of the hour, which is less than 60 seconds from now. So buckle up and get ready for a really engaged experience, a secret mission, and all kinds of things that can help you launch your federal 2021 with power and style. So we're getting started and the countdown has begun. So welcome. We're so excited that you're here. Drop a word in the chat. We're going to use our chat a lot. Get ready, get your keyboard ready, and even ready for some live questions. I hope you're somewhere quiet and plugged in on headphones so you can have the chance to also ask your questions. Catherine with a marketing writing company with Octo. Oh, Octo, you're doing amazing stuff. We're so glad you're here. John Soul from Columbia Technologies. Hi. Yeah, Octo is involved in, you're involved in doing the migration from Federal Procurement Data System over to beta.sam.gov. All right, it is the top of the hour. It's 1 o'clock. We're going to get started. So welcome to Google is at it again, how to make sure your federal buyers can find you. I'm Judy Bratt. I'm CEO of Summit Insight, and I'm here to bring you the best of the things I've learned in 32 years in the federal market. That includes something that I spent 25 years avoiding, and because I refused to learn the lesson, cost me $1 million in foregone income. So I'm here to make sure that you can earn a lot more than $1 million by getting these secrets in a lot sooner than 25 years. Federal contracts, if you want to have success, you've got to do 3 things: to focus and to connect in order to win. And so if you want to start having the right conversations with the right people at the right time, that's the journey we're on together, about which more another time. So let's get right to it. Our mission today is to help you identify the milestone on your road to the next win. But we have a secret mission. And our secret mission is this: to give you a fully engaged experience over the next hour and really give you some ideas for how you can engage in your community, in your part of the federal arena, with your federal buyers, partners, and even prospective employees. So get something to write with ready, because I'm going to ask you some things as we go along, and something at the top of the hour when we're done. So your commitment here is to participate via the chat box. You can raise a hand, be ready and somewhere quiet to unmute for live Q&A, and get ready to take action, because I'm going to ask you at the end, what one thing are you going to commit to do? Are you ready for that? If you are, put yes in the chat. Anybody? Are you ready for this? Yes? Let's see. Who's ready? Yes, says Max. Yes, says Catherine. Yes, says Patricia. Okay. Okay. Excellent. You are my people. That's why you're here. Lesson number 1. What matters is not, did you get 300 people on your webinar? Nearly as much as, are the people who are with you the ones who want to be here and they're ready for the journey you want to be on? Let's take this journey. So let's practice. We're going to say, who's here in the room where it happens? I'm going to open up a poll. I'm going to ask you these questions. So we're going to launch the polling, and away you go. So as you go, what was your top line revenue in 2019? Under $1 million, 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 25, or over 25? Are you currently earning revenue in the government contract space? Take a look. Mark it off. What's your top challenge right now in the federal arena? Getting in front of federal buyers, making your marketing more effective, getting found online, writing more proposals and winning more, finding more where we can win, getting on the right vehicles. Come and vote. We're practicing voting. Voting is important. Vote exactly as often and in the right way. And right now, this is how you vote. So let's practice voting. We've got a lot of you on, so take a look at the questions. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is federal business to your plans to grow the company? 8 to 10, it's essential. Federal work represents over 80% of our planned revenue. 6 to 7, very important. We need strong federal revenue along with commercial wins. 4 to 5, somewhat important. We'd answer the phone, nice to have. We got lots of commercial stuff going on. Or 1 to 3, I don't know. We're deciding whether or not we're going to fish or cut bait. So we're going to leave this poll open for about another 15 seconds. So come on and vote. All right. And we're going to count down. So we got 55% of the vote is in. All right, let's see who else can respond, please. Let's see what's up. Take a look at the questions, and we're going to share it, and we'll see who's here, what's going on with folks. All right, we're going to close this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 2.5, 2 3/4, and the polls are now closing, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let's share these results. Here you go. So about 45% of you are businesses under $1 million, about 30% are 1 to 5. Just about half and half, a little over half are already in the federal market, and the other half are currently not earning revenue in the federal market. You might be here, but you might want some. And so top challenges: getting in front of the right federal buyer sooner, 15%, making marketing more effective for BD, 10%, getting found online, 20%, better proposals, 15%, finding more work we can win, vehicles. All right, it's all over. But over half of you, winning federal work is essential to your planned revenue, and 25%. So 3/4 of you is at least a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Awesome. You're in the right place. That's why we wanted to know what's up. We're going to make sure that you're going to get things that will help you move toward your goals. So introductions, and then we're going to look at how important a website is to government contractors. Who's looking for you? What are they searching for? How does content help you? And Google's at it again. How can you leverage the way Google does business to make sure your federal buyers can find you? So I am thrilled at the way relationships in the federal market have brought me together with our presenters today. Chris Brinker and I met at almost 2 years ago at a webinar, a seminar that my friend Mark Amtower put together. And it was we were learning how to make LinkedIn, leverage LinkedIn for our success in the federal arena. And Chris and I have become friends. She's become a coach to some of my clients. And Ocean 5 Strategies has become one of my trusted referral partners for my clients and for my community when they want to engage with their community, generate leads. And when you have a partner who has 500% return on investment on client wins, 600% increase in client acquisition, 218% increase in profit, 216% increase in conversion rates. This is the kind of partner you want to have, the kind of expertise that Chris and Simon bring. I'll tell you a sweet story, and I asked them if it was okay to share this. Chris and Simon own this business together, and Chris had said, you know, you and I are going to have a conversation, but we were preparing this and I could hardly wait to see what Simon was going to share. And I was listening to him prepare, and she said, I just fell in love with him all over again and remembered why I married him. Isn't that the sweetest thing? But this is actually, falling in love is not trivial. Falling in love is the experience that we want our federal buyers and partners and even prospective employees to have with us. And this is why I stop and say, notice the experience that you're having and the experience that you want to create for people when they're getting to know you the first time and when they're spending a little more time with you and getting to know you a little better. Some of you, this is the first one of my webinars that you've been on. I am thrilled that you're here. Others, Pat Daughter, Bob Rook, we're getting to know each other a little better. And that's part of the journey that we're on today. So Simon is all about making the complex seem more simple. And he's going to talk to us about the specific ways that Ocean 5 does this. And he has multinational and global experience. And I'm just thrilled that you're both here. So welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right. So, all right, get ready to another quick poll. How important is your website? We're going to share a little bit of research, but first we want to do some research in real time. So going to launch another quick poll. And so hang on a second here. And I'm going to pick the right poll. There we go. And so about your website, how important is your website in your federal marketing mix? It's your main platform, or hey, we update the content once a quarter, or we do an annual update to our federal landing page. So we are making sure our SAM and our landing page are the same, or we don't think they use it very much. So, yeah, website, schmebsite, whatever. All right. So we're not going to keep this open too long. All right. But let's vote. How important is your website to your federal marketing mix? And it may be, and what a great time of year this is to be thinking about this, because I hope you're also doing your federal sales hot wash. You're looking at, what did we spend money on last year? What worked? What really we could tweak a little, or what was really a waste of money? And we're not going to do that again. So where does website fall in all of that? All right. So we're going to be closing this poll in another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Keep voting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 2.5, 2 3/4. And we are ending this poll now. So here we go. So half of you are saying it's our main marketing platform. About 12% are saying, yeah, once a quarter, 12% once a year, or almost over a quarter of you say, we don't think they use it very much. How interesting. I wonder what's going to change by the end of the hour. So your federal buyer, your top 2 sources, your federal buyer looks at top SEO of a Google search and your website. So you 27%, you may be rethinking the resources you have on your website. Your federal buyers are using it all the time. In fact, your website plays many, many roles. Chris, talk about where websites, because you and I got together about 2 years ago, and the big frustration that you found was that so many government contractors were thinking their website was not important. And in fact, it really, really is.
It really is. And we've spent a great deal of time talking to both experts that are actually doing surveys and interviews. We've been interviewing decision makers ourselves. And what we keep hearing over and over again is that the website is a huge tool for research, validation, education, all along the decision-making process for the government decision makers, but also what we also want to think about, and you don't think about this necessarily as, quote, a target market, is attracting top talent, recruiting, retention, attracting teaming partners for those government contractors that are also resellers. They're trying to attract vendors and suppliers. So it's not, oh, is my federal buyer, looking at my website? It really, trying to figure out the importance of all of those players and everybody that really needs to be attracted, finding your website and creating opportunities to capture and convert.
I was talking to my friend Anna Ehrman. Now, some of you may know Anna from one of her many roles in the Northern Virginia area, between being director of the Procurement Technical Assistance Center at George Mason University, or now she is the newest contracting officers representative at State Department. We were out for a walk this morning, and she said to me that there was somebody who had got her, she was in a matchmaking appointment, and she had to go and find the company because she had to change the schedule. And she looked for them in SAM, and she looked for them in Dynamic Small Business Search, and eventually she it was one of those company names that was sort of generic and sort of like Big City Logistics, kind of a generic name. And eventually she found them, and she contacted them and said, hey, where are you on SAM? I said, oh, well, our name is a little different on SAM. I said, well, it's a good thing I really needed to find you, because the name that you are registered ad in SAM is the one I'm going to look for. So just aligning your actual name on your website, on your profiles, can mean that you're getting found or you're not. And that was just an example that came out of a walk this morning. So the little things mean a lot. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. One of my other friends, Dottie Romo, acquisition professional now in the Department of the Treasury, it said, if somebody's SAM profile is not aligned and up to date and current with their website, for me, I don't even go any further. So, all right. Government buyers check you out an average of 12 times online before they talk to you. If you're not showing them your best stuff, you may not even ever hear from them. So here's where they're looking now and what they're looking at. Your most effective content delivery channel is your corporate website. The preferred contract content type, 75% of them are going to your website for it. And 83% of them are using some kind of a personal mobile device. Are you set? Are you making it easy for them to find you? Do you have the right stuff? My friends at Market Connections published an annual federal market media study and have graciously said, hey, yeah, share our stuff. Pay attention. Do you have content that's so good somebody else wants to share it? Is your stuff so good that other people in the market will share it? So they're talking about what it means for people to want your content. You want to make your content accessible regardless of where it's being consumed and have a mobile strategy to reach commuters, to reach your federal government buyers wherever they are. So who's searching for you and what are they searching for? I want to introduce a concept of the players at all the layers. There are 5 different layers of, you can think of them as layers or buckets in the federal market where people might care about what you do. And what each of them wants is different. But the players at all 5 layers are these: small business specialist, contracting officer, end user, stakeholder, and other pigs in industry. All right. So there's more to learn here, but what if you could know at a glance what they care about, how to get through to them, how to start conversations? Who wants the link to that handout? Put me in the chat. Who wants that? Who's looking for that? Write me. Let me see the me. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Yes. Well, guess what? We're about to make your life a whole lot easier. So hold on to your seat. We're going to have that for you at the end. All right. So answer in the chat. How long do you think your federal buyer stays on your site if they don't find what they're looking for? How long? How many minutes? How long? How long do you think they stay on your site? Less than a minute, 5 seconds, 38 seconds, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Chris, what's the analogy with the goldfish, that the average consumer has less online attention than a goldfish has? Have you heard that?
Oh yeah, the goldfish has a longer attention span than human beings now.
Here's your answer. 15 seconds. That's right, says Frank. Yeah. If your federal buyer doesn't find what they're after in 15 seconds, they're out of there. Now, if you're kind of getting this uncomfortable feeling in the pit of your stomach, hey, breathe. We've got you. You are in our personal, no guilt, safe zone. We're going to help you to figure out what's the path to get under the 15-second mark, okay? So hang with us, all right? What are they looking for? They're looking for educational content. They want to learn stuff, different things at different times. The top content that federal buyers are looking for, they're looking across all categories of research reports and white papers. They're trying to do research to find out, how should we be defining requirements? What can industry actually do? And so if you're offering products, they're looking for information about the products and possibly demos at both federal and as well as state and local. If you offer services, your buyers are often looking for case studies. Can you show them how you've solved their problem for someone who looks just like them yesterday afternoon? Everything about your website and your communications with your federal buyer needs to be leaving your buyer with the sense that you are their low risk choice. Write this down. Here's the holy trifecta. What your federal buyer is looking for, no matter who they are, what player at any layer. Okay. Can you follow the rules? Can you make it easy? Can you make them look good? Follow the rules, make it easy, make them look good. If you're struggling, then you may be missing the boat on one of those three things. But being able to show up as the low risk choice, somebody they want to try, your content can help you break through. So our friends at Market Connects have a great chart about aligning your content to your federal buyer. They want different things at different stages. And so I'll leave this for you to review rather than reading the chart. But understand that you need to be providing different things to people at different points in the engagement cycle. So here, in the first quarter of the federal fiscal year, you're going to be doing some of the more early stage things. If you don't have all of this content at the same time, relax. You've got some time to get some of that stuff out there because they're not consuming some of these things until a little bit later. But as you're thinking about now that you've done your hot wash and decided what you're not going to do, then think about how content feeds into what have you got to engage, to capture the interest, to give your federal buyer something you can show them you've solved a small problem for them, and they can't solve the next part by themselves. That's the engagement journey that they're on. And you're building trust. So again, the infographic here gives a sense of the kinds of things, kinds of choices you make in the content that you develop. So product specifications, you want to show them how the ideal solution fits with what they do. Have proof, have data showing why your approach is effective. Objective data. Examples of case studies really lower the risk. You can have a link to the full story, but you want to have some of those. Chris, talk to us about the difference between gated and ungated. I've really struggled with this, and after a really expensive year figuring it out, I think I've kind of got it. Talk about gated versus ungated content. What's it mean?
Sure. And we look at a lot of government contractors' websites, and honestly, I think one of the repetitive big mistakes that we see, there's just this trend. The content for the education, for the nurturing, generally tends to kind of get by the wayside. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I'm going to steal their quote. A lot of the websites, you get to the homepage and it looks like they just want to get married on the first date. It's straight to you're about to make a decision. You're not here to get educated. You've already made your decision, and the types of content that people are looking for in order to help them make a decision or begin to gain your trust, is always sorely missing. And you want to have this combination of gated and ungated content. Gated content is simply, it's content that's juicy enough that people are willing to give up something. They're willing to pay for the content. And by paying, that means that they are paying with their email address or some other contact information that you're trying to glean. But normally you want enough ungated content so that they can read bits and pieces and tasty tidbits that get them interested. And they also start qualifying themselves. So if they're interested in what is on your website, they're interested in your blogs, they're interested in your case studies, and now they go, you know what, I'm so interested that I'm willing to give you my email address to get this more in-depth piece of content, then you actually know that they really are qualifying themselves. They're not going, you know what, this isn't something I'm interested in, and they should be leaving anyway. So having that good combination of information that they can get without having to fill in a form, and then the tidbits that they really want, so you know who's visiting your website.
I want to talk, you're hit the really critical thing. You're building trust, which is why I'm moving my little red ball around there. And we're going to give you this experience today. Based on the experience you're having with me and with Chris and with Simon, you're going to get a sense of whether you trust us enough to go click on the thing and nibble at our free thing. where you don't even have to fork over contact information. And so you're going to get that experience. Something to remember is that the first thing that you give away doesn't have to be really complicated. It's got to be useful, but it doesn't have to be a huge, long ebook or meaty thing. In fact, if you give away something on the first date, if you give away the whole meal, then somebody's full. They're not going to come back until they finish because you can't go out until you finish your dinner, right? So you have to be able to try some appetizers. Get to know each other a little bit first, give them a good experience, but a sense that, oh, I want to know more. So we're going to demonstrate that right here as we go along. So I love this infographic, and there's tons to eat here. But I just say that you can get the video of this and you can start when we're finished. But Market Connections has driven some great ideas for different pillars to build your content around. So I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to let you screenshot this. All right. So you can grab it right away, but you'll have this in the replay as well. Someone said, will the presentation be handed out? Yes, of course. So you're going to get the link to download the replay. Okay. So I'm going to move past this because we've got other things that we want to share with you. And there's core content, critical content about your company before you start sharing other engagement things. That's absolutely got to be on your government landing page, the place you're bringing your government buyers to. So Chris, talk about the essentials. You've built effective, high-performing landing pages for the government space for your clients. What are the things that people miss, simple things that just have to be there?
Yeah, and this goes back to if I can't find it in 15 seconds, I'm going somewhere else. And really in that 15 seconds, there are specific things that they have to be able to find in basically a click. Don't make them dig around and go, depths under, click this page to get to this page, to get to this page. You'll see on this sample, this is an example of an Ocean 5 client that's under development. Right as soon as you hover over industries, you get right to the fact that, yes, we have public sector government. They also, this particular company works for government as well as industry. So making it very evident that, the government agencies are your target in very little effort to try to find out that information. So that's just one sample. And then another thing that we're also looking for is we find that companies often do have a capability statement. Again, it's buried deep in the About Us section, and then they don't have a downloadable PDF version. And having that downloadable PDF version is also incredibly important. You do want it to be, in the body of the text as well, but having a downloadable version of it, super important. And then making sure that people can find, the point of contact, the different contracts vehicles that you're using, your codes, your DUNS, your cage numbers, any kind of certifications that you have, what your core capabilities are. Just having that information very easily found. And again, 15 seconds, they got to find it or they're looking somewhere else. So another thing that that we encourage people to do, and generally folks are pretty good about, at least putting the names of the contracts. But what we encourage is to make it a graphic statement, something that is just more, visually appealing. And then you can also click to that graphic to see more and read the full information about the various contracts. And again, you could have graphics for your capability statement or your case studies, and having all that, again, very available. You can see in the example here, right up at the top, just contract vehicles. There it is. You don't even have to look for it. We're just going to give it away right there on the navigation.
Mm-hmm. And with contract vehicles, you want to be able to set up so when they click on GSA, it's not going to go to GSA's website. It's going to take you right to the information page with your GSA schedules, your contact stuff. You've heard of people talk about the acquisition hallway. You want to walk them down the hallway, put their hand on the door handle of where your door is in the acquisition hallway. All right. That's how that happens. All right. So these are the basics that your site has to have. So Chris, talk to us a little bit about how content helps you, because now we're talking about engagement, not just content.
Yeah, and content has so many uses and different levels of importance, along the buyer's journey. Simon's going to talk a little bit about, the importance of content in search engine optimization, and that is one of the important factors. Content helps build relationships. It helps educate the people that are coming to your website. It helps them make decisions. It helps them qualify themselves. Something that people don't often think about is oh, they think about, well, it's really important to qualify your prospects. It's equally as important if people are going to disqualify themselves. Because if somebody comes to your website and they can determine for themselves that you are not what they're looking for, then they're not going to start occupying your BD team or your sales folks team by getting engaged and thinking that you are talking to somebody only to find out later down the road, oh, not a good fit. If you can put that content on your website to where they're like, yes, I completely think that this is what I'm looking for. So they start to qualify and disqualify themselves. And for that, getting the different types of content that speaks to, am I in a research phase? Am I simply trying to put a name to my problem or put a name to the challenge or the goal that I'm seeking? Do I really know what that looks like yet? Or, okay, now I understand the mission that I need to accomplish, or I understand the name of my problem. Now I'm trying to figure out the various ways I could go about solving it, or achieving my mission. And then, once I've now said, oh, I've determined that this is how I'm going to solve this problem, now I need to figure out who it is that I'm going to have help me with that solution. And so different forms of content along those different spots, we call it the buyer's journey, having different pieces of content to talk to the right people at the right time and say the right thing. So that's
And you've
really,
got a lot of options. So content isn't just, oh, good, how many PDFs can I have to download? You've got case studies. Video can be really powerful. YouTube is the planet's second most accessed search engine, and the vast majority of the educational content on YouTube is less than 2 minutes. So think about that. Do you have a YouTube channel? How are you using video? Really powerful.
a lot of people are also scared by the thought of content because it's massive. I mean, you need so much content. But one of the strategies we work with our clients and we encourage people to do is, create the messaging, know who you're talking to, what you're selling, and how you're going to message it, and create that sort of main piece of content. And then take that and repurpose the heck out of it, because that's just giving you more bang for your buck. You create, maybe you create a big guide that has all this information, and then you break it into 7 blog posts. And then you take one of the blog posts and you create a webinar out of it, or, all the different, figuring out what your specific target, is going to want to consume.
And thinking about what your people are thinking about at different times of the year. One of the things I do with my programs is we have what I call my Top Gun coaches, former federal contracting officers. And we got together and I said to my Top Gun coaches, what is it the contracting officers and federal buyers are thinking about in each quarter of the fiscal year? And they brainstormed that out. And that gave me a really clear idea on what it is that I want to be encouraging federal contractors to be writing about and thinking about and talking about. So you're engaging with your federal buyers where your head's in the same space as they are at that time of the year. With respect to content as well, thinking about, and some of you probably filled this stuff out, maybe there's an assessment where somebody does a self-assessment or does a self-scoring, answers a bank of questions, and then they get an assessment that a little report out saying, here's where you are in solving this problem. That gives you information on whether they are ready for you, but it also gives them an idea. The report you set up, depending on what their score is, gives them some resources or next steps. So you get some research, but they get some help. So it's a whole other thing. Talk a little bit about specifically, we've got a lot of online events. There's 5 of them going on every day now in this time of the year. So Chris, what are the things that go into an effective event or contact form and invitation?
Well, we're using ours as a really good example of lead capture. Yeah, being able to, get people to the website, find out about your event. In this particular instance, our offer, quote offer, is our quick guide. So we would have been talking about the topic. We would have been talking about the quick guide, and then creating this event. Then creating the invitation, creating the contact form, making sure that you have a very clear call to action. People need to understand exactly what is it that I'm supposed to do next. So, making sure that the CTA, or the call to action, in here, in this example, it's get free guide. And this is actually a free guide. I can actually pop the link into the chat if people are interested in this. And then you can experience the lead capture aspect of it.
Yeah, and Chris, Adolfo said, as a former contracting officer with the reduction in workforce, where does the current federal representative find time to do the market research you're describing? I agree with 15 seconds to hook. That was more time than I spent looking. But I'm hearing you say that contracting officers or contracting specialists are really doing quality market research. Not convinced. Most of that deep market research you're discussing was done by the program office and engineering folks who are validating what the end user wants. So Adolfo, thank you. You're taking me back to players and layers. The kinds of things that you're looking for as a contracting officer may have more to do with, does this company have their act together? Is their DUNS number update? Are they still registered in SAM? The layer that may be interested in the more detailed technical research is going to be what I call the end user layer, exactly as you said. So there's different kinds of information that different layers in the federal buying ecostructure need and want at different times. So, and everybody's different. So talking to people, folks, you're in pumpkin spice latte season. That's what October is. When you see pumpkin spice latte show up in your local barista's list, let that be your trigger. It's time to have conversations with people. What's on their minds? What are they thinking? All those people who didn't have time to talk to you in July and August and September, they've got time to talk to you now. They're not spending a truckload of money, but they have time, which is incredibly valuable. So we're going to talk a little bit about best practices for winning contractors. 81% of federal contractors are developing marketing content that's targeting the federal decision maker. And that federal decision maker, there's a lot of that decision, that development of what's really going to be what we want is at the end user layer, as well as the folks who are setting up the contracting competition. All right. So really important to be developing content for the right person, the right layer at the right time. So I want to pause and say, what's your big takeaway? Drop it in the chat. What have you learned that has value so far? And notice what we're doing. We're checking in. We're not sitting here and broadcasting at you. So what are you learning so far? 15-second rule. What else? What's resonating for you as kind of an aha? Yes. Hey, Mari from Market Connection says, thank you for sharing our research. Yes, Mari, drop your contact information in the chat so people can also get in touch with you at Market Connections. 5 layers, says Gail. Content priority, says Max. Adolfo says alignment of your marketing tools. Mary says update the website. There, Mari C at marketconnectionsinc.com. Grab Mari's contact information because you want to be in touch with Market Connections as well. They've got another study and report coming out and you want that, all right? Website's got to have content to attract federal agencies. Yeah. Frequent change in web content. Yeah, now we're getting into things that are genuinely going to take us right to the next layer of what we're talking about. So Simon, take it away. We're going to switch shares and you're going to talk about making sure your government buyer can find you. All right. So over to you.
Thank you.
And you're going to share your screen.
I'm going to choose. There we go. Click this button here too.
There we go. Awesome. Take it away.
So great to see everyone. I'm going to jump straight in here, and we're going to talk about making sure your government buyers can find you. But I am going to take a minute or two to just introduce you to Ocean 5. We're positioned as a growth agency, so essentially that means that we provide both consulting services and marketing and execution services. And we have our own proprietary process, which is SWIM. Seems to go quite nicely with Ocean 5. But that acronym stands for Strategy with Implementation and Measurement. I'm going to expand on that just a little bit. So the strategy part is that we actually work with companies at all three levels. So, and I think strategy is also a word which is overused or misunderstood.
Simon, can you get a little closer to your mic? We're having a little trouble here.
Yeah. Is that any better?
Thank you.
Of course, now you've got my big face anyway. So we think of strategy at three separate levels, whether it's the corporate level strategy, which is about finance and alignment with markets and product introductions and so on and so forth. Level two is our focus is sales and marketing. This is a departmental level. Clearly, there are other strategies at those in those other functional areas. And then the third area where we focus is strategies at these, I'm going to call them single point services. So these are marketing, operational activities, and each of those needs their own strategy. So from our SWIM approach, our approach is that we need to align sales and marketing with business objectives. Clearly, if that's going to be the case, we need to measure the performance of that alignment. So that's the measurement part. And with implementation, we have a team of specialists who can execute at this level three strategic level. So working in SEO, web, which is the focus of today's conversation, website design, development, advertising, email marketing, and so on and so forth, as you can see here. In terms of implementation, we usually start in most of our engagements, we start with either an SEO assessment, a content assessment, or a website assessment. Often that leads to a more in-depth marketing strategy audit, which moves into the execution, which is either these single point services, typically the case of very large companies, or it's a managed operations through marketing campaign design implementation, along with some of these single point services. So that's a little bit about how we operate and what we do. This is a testament to our creative team, whether it's video or whether it's website design development or whether it's actual pure creative. But 39 awards, we've got a whole bunch of them over here on the shelf. And it's always nice to take a picture of those and send them off to our prospective clients. And we do have a B2G focus. So, you know, some of the names that we've worked with there on website design development. We're also working on marketing strategy in areas as sophisticated as cloud services, DevSecOps, and artificial intelligence. Chris is a keen contributor to the Government Contracting Marketing University. And of course, here we are with Summit Insights, where Chris is a digital marketing subject matter expert. And great to see Market Connections here. And Chris and Market Connections are working together with Chris being a guest writer for some of their activities. So that's a little bit about us in terms of our B2G focus. So let's get down to it, right? The reason we're here is to understand what Google's up to and to make sure that we can manipulate would be the wrong word. It is to align ourselves with Google's activities. And essentially their goal is to provide the best possible search results. And ultimately from their perspective, because if you continue to use that platform, then they can offer advertising options to people who are basically going to give them money. So there's the motivation. Google has got an amazing algorithm which is proven to be one of the best, if not the best by far, so that the very best website answers come up when you type into that search. That's called organic search. And they put out a blog, and this is what came up on May the 28th. Evaluating page experience for a better web. So the interesting thing here is that if you want to read through this particular blog, have at it. It looks like this. There's an awful lot of technical jargon in there, so I read it twice and came to the conclusion that there are certain parts of this that are really, really important. So they are going to use the way that users perceive the experience of interacting with a web page in order to rank whether or not your website is going to get found on their search engine. So that's kind of a bit amorphous, right? The way users perceive the experience of interacting with a web page. And what they've done is they have developed the concept called Core Web Vitals, which they're going to use in addition to the 200 plus attributes that they use currently to assess whether or not they're going to put you on page one of a Google search. And the three things that have come up in Core Web Vitals are load time, interactivity, and stability of content. So you can start to see how we've moved from how users perceive experience down to things that actually electronically you can measure in terms of load time, interactivity, and stability of content. So the thing that explains all this is a diagram which looks like this. And unless you're in the business, my guess is that some of these things don't make a lot of sense. So I took the liberty of taking the Googleese and moving it over to English. And so we're just going to have a quick look at the definitions of each of these in turn. And let's start at the bottom. So these ones in green at the top, they're the new Core Web Vitals. The ones that are down here at the bottom are already established. You are already having your website graded based on these things which are down here at the bottom. So let's look at what this means. So no intrusive interstitials means no irritating pop-ups, right? No irritating pop-ups. Now that doesn't mean no pop-ups. It means if you are using pop-ups in such a way that is not adding value to the user experience, it's considered to be irritating and therefore it's an intrusive interstitial. HTTPS, you guys are probably familiar with this, but may not recognize the acronyms, but this is the addition of an SSL certification to your website. You can tell if you've got one of these when you go and look in the browser, look at the very top, on the left-hand side where it's got your website URL. If there is a little padlock there, you have an SSL certificate. And if you don't, it probably says this website is not secure. So I want to put this into context. What an SSL certificate is actually delivering is security when you transfer data through the website. So if you fill out a form and you don't want that, or you want that form data to be secure, and the answer to that is yes, you always want the data to be secure. That's the point where the information is exposed. So if you don't have an interaction through your website, then arguably SSL certification isn't important. The problem is that there is a sign up at the left-hand side that says this website is not secure. So irrespective of whether it's technically required for your website, the message that you're sending to your audience is that we are not professional in the way that we're putting up our websites, and they may have some concerns about how you are going to treat them in another environment. The next one we have here is safe browsing. If you come across a website that does not have safe browsing, you will, from Google, you will get a big sign that says this website is not safe. Click here to go back to safety or continue effectively at your own risk. I don't know anybody that clicks the let's take my own risk and then go ahead and just click forward. No, nobody's doing that, right? So you might want to make sure that you've got safe browsing taken care of. And then the last one that's here is mobile friendly. I think we're all familiar with the fact that, you know, there are dozens and dozens of different aspect ratios in all these mobile devices, and you expect your website to basically reorganize itself so you can scroll up and down on a mobile phone or a tablet. What you may not know is that a couple of years ago, Google actually said, well, you know, we're going to take mobile friendly websites into consideration. And then they switched, they upped the game. They said, oh, we're going to look at your mobile version of your website first. And if that isn't performing, we're kind of not going to rank you either on mobile, nor are we going to rank your desktop version either. So this became a very critical consideration for anybody who was interested in having their website found. So they're the things that already exist. So let's now just jump up to Core Web Vitals and take a little look at what's going on here. So visual stability. This is no jumping content. Now I'm hoping I'm not going to be by myself here, but have you ever clicked through on the clickbait, which is taking you to a web page that says, hey, look at these things here, and maybe there's something interesting like, I don't know, pictures of people falling off stuff, and if you find that amusing. And you say, yes, I will look at it. But as you're about to press the button, the whole thing jumps. And you click a button that is actually an advertisement, and you go to that advertisement, and because of the magic of remarketing, that advertisement follows you around for the next 3 weeks, even though you had no interest in it at all. So Google's kind of saying, yeah, we're not really up for that. We're not going to rank those websites highly because they're not providing true value. They're kind of cheating by pushing you in a direction that you don't want to go. Interestingly, if you don't have solid design parameters on a regular commercial site, you can find that you can get your website jumping up and down. Whether it would cause problems with visual stability from Google's perspective is one thing. Is it irritating? Absolutely. So I always recommend that you don't do it in any case. And then the second one is interactivity. This is how long does it take for the website to actually show up so that I can interact with it? Are the buttons there? Can I press them? Will it take me to where I expect to go? And in a similar vein, the last one is largest colorful paint, meaning how long does it take to get to the website being loaded so I can have some useful interaction with it or understand what it's offering. So Core Web Vitals is about the website design and the development piece. It's about how fast can you get that information in the hands of the people that want to see it. And the fundamental shift is that your website design and development became much more important in search engine optimization than it has in the past. And I'm going to expand on that here a little bit further. So let's talk about mobile friendly. So the first thing is, at the highest level, does your website adapt its layout for mobile devices? Meaning, can it rearrange the blocks of information in order to match all of these different types? You can see 4 examples of very common aspect ratios that you might have to address. There is another aspect to mobile friendly, which is particularly pertinent for government contractors, and that is that does your website render properly with different browsers? Because most websites are developed to work with the current version of the website browsers. The interesting thing is, in the government space, is that often they are using outdated browsers, which you have to give some consideration for. So for example, Internet Explorer is not the most currently supported browser from Microsoft. It's actually called Edge. And we've had experiences of government government agencies using Internet Explorer as far back as Internet Explorer 7. And that is a really challenging time frame because there have been many advances, and it's really quite unreasonable at this point to expect that websites would be working with Internet Explorer 7. Internet Explorer 11, however, that's probably a reasonable expectation that website would work with that, and government agencies are using that browser still. So pay attention to both the devices and also the browsers when you're looking across these different platforms. So why does mobile matter? 60% of searches are on mobile. Millennials who are moving into the workspace, into senior positions, are becoming your government buyer. This is what they use, this is what they grow up with. And as of 2019, if Google does not approve your mobile user experience, you may not appear on mobile or desktop searches. So it's important, please pay attention to mobile. If you want to know if your website is mobile friendly, you can go to this page. I'll put the URL down here, and pop in your website address, and it will actually take a few seconds to do an analysis. It will tell you whether or not Google considers your website to be mobile friendly. There are some times where it doesn't quite work the way you expect. I would suggest that you look at your website on a number of mobile devices just to satisfy yourself that it actually looks the way that you would expect it to look.
And I've just dropped that link in the chat for anybody who wants to go grab it.
Fantastic, thank you, Judy. Okay, so I'm going to talk about search engine optimization because I think this is the part where we try to make the complex, and it is complex, we try to make it as simple as possible. There are a lot of questions around SEO. I also will reflect back on the number of criteria that Google and Bing, Yahoo are using to evaluate websites. And you've got over 200, and it's not getting any less anytime soon. The other thing that you've got is that the algorithms which are being used are constantly being updated. And therefore, you have to monitor how your website is performing in terms of organic search to ensure that you are continuing to stay abreast of the latest changes in the way that they are ranking websites and putting them onto page one. So, the objective of search engine optimization is very specific. It is to increase the traffic to your website from organic search. That is different, for example, than using paid search, which means Google Ads or advertising digitally on some other platform. It's different. So there's paid search, there is organic search. Organic search means you type in a query into the Google search engine and you click go, and when it comes back, you will see at the top of the page the adverts. Then you will probably see what's called the map pack, so where things are that are in local proximity to you. And what comes next is organic search. You're looking to be in position 1, 2, or 3 to stay on page 1. The drop off of people's interest if you have to go to page 2 or page 3 in a search is exponential and almost zero by the time you've got to page 3. So you're aiming for page 1. You have to go through the other pages to get there, but you're aiming for page 1. So that's the purpose of SEO. The way I break it out is that there are some parts of search engine optimization which are about a project. It has a beginning and an end. And then there are other parts which are ongoing. And you need to understand that both are necessary in order to have an effective SEO strategy. So the project part is that you do some research, you understand the site using Google Analytics, Google Search Console, and other tools. You look at your competitors and you do some keyword research to ensure that the phrases that you plan to use are in line with the phrases that people are searching for. Seems logical, right? The next thing is page experience. This is about when you build the website, we need to consider core web vitals. That's about website design and structure and technical SEO, which means coding. Is your coding efficient? Is it loading things quickly? And then on-page SEO is about making sure that the header tags, the page tags, the title tags are aligned with the keyword research that you did in the first part. And then finally, there's local SEO, which is appropriate if you are trying to influence local people. If you have an office nearby the agency that you are trying to influence, probably doing some local SEO is a logical thing. The most obvious example of local SEO is Google My Business, where you can actually have your physical location very visible, and so people in close proximity will see where your location is. There are other citations that would be appropriate for you in your industry, in your particular products and service category. The things which are ongoing are linking strategies. There are three types: linking internally within your website, linking externally to reliable references, and most importantly, getting other websites to link back to you. Websites that have a high domain authority, so Google has determined that these are credible websites, have a high domain authority. That's a number of ranking from 0 to 100. So if you get high domain authority websites linking back to you, thumbs up, you're going to get some extra brownie points. The other piece is content. You need to add continually interesting content to tell Google that you are a website that is offering value to the people who are searching. And then finally, we need to have reporting so that we can make tactical adjustments as we go. Say finally, there's kind of one more thing, that although all of these projects are, there's a beginning and an end, of course, with changes in the algorithms, you kind of have to go back every once in a while to make sure that nothing changed and fix any technical errors that came up. So that's the essence of a strong SEO strategy. You can measure effectiveness of SEO by looking at these things. You can look at the number of leads that are being generated. Leads means calls, phone calls, and chats. You can see how you go from an English measure to something that's very tangible, so we can track these things electronically. Organic traffic, as I said, is the key in terms of watching your Google Analytics that go up. Page positioning for target keywords. You can see which keywords are on page 1, page 2, page 3, and there are reports that can be pulled from that. Quick comment on traction. It does take a while for SEO to have an impact. And since it has takes some time, then if you're engaging in this, in a search engine optimization program, initially focus on activity. Make sure stuff is getting done, which is moving in the right direction, because there may not be any results that you can track. And there's a point where that crosses over. You stop worrying so much about activity and you start looking at the actual performance of the search engine optimization program through these metrics, which are here on the left-hand side. I often get asked about return on investment. Well, specific return on investment is about, the way we're calculating it, is gross margin divided by the investment that you put in place. In our experience, there is typically a positive return on investment in less than 12 months for most B2B organizations. We do the analysis up front to ensure that that's the case. With B2G, business to government, your sales cycles may be extended. If you have a sales cycle which is 2 years, but then you pull in a multi-million-dollar project, that may well be attributable to your search engine optimization, but you can't say that it happened in 12 months. That's just math. That's the way it works. Typically, when I think about return on investment, I look at the entire marketing spend and the results it's generated. I would recommend that you invest the majority of your budget in activities that work, are known to work, and have got a proven track record, and take a small amount and do experimentation. There are no silver bullets in marketing. Don't look for them. They're not there. Make sure that you've got an effective strategy that is going to give you a long-term, ongoing, incremental results. So summary, quick summary here. SEO does have a place for marketing strategy for government contractors. It's useful when coupled with other sales and marketing activities, like putting gated content in to make sure that you capture people's contact information. Core Web Vitals will impact how you are found in 2021. So the bad news is Core Web Vitals is coming. The good news is it's 2021. You've actually got time to do something about it. A word of caution, SEO is a long-term commitment. If you're not in it for the long term, don't do it, don't start it, and then quit 3 months later. You just wasted a bunch of money. It's a long-term commitment. It does, however, give you cumulative benefits versus advertising, meaning that somebody clicks on your advert, that money's gone, whereas search engine optimization continues to build over time. If you want to look at how agencies work, specifically Ocean 5, then we operate as a fully outsourced marketing function, or we offer single point services in these various areas: SEO, pay-per-click, content development, graphic design, marketing automation, and so on. Most companies start with a combination of 1 or 2 single point services supported by consulting, and then the plan is put in place via a workshop at the beginning of each engagement, and then we track KPIs and adjust through our Agile project management activities. You know, many of you are familiar with Agile, because those are the services you guys are providing into your government agencies.
And I'll note here that Simon had done a limited version of that workshop just to get clarity on business with me. And you know, sometimes I get the impression that people who have that lovely British accent are really not only super smart, but they're going to take my stuff and rip me up one side and down the other. And I was a little bit apprehensive of having this really super smart person look at my stuff. And not only was this, I left with this feeling of calm, but a sense of profound focus. And it was a marvelous, powerful experience. So I want to give you that, that feedback on just what a really great experience it was to just work with you on even just the first part of optimizing, lining up sales and marketing objectives and looking at priorities. It was wonderful, Simon, and I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad it's helping. We'll keep going.
Yeah.
So let me move to now. We're now moving on to resources. There are some resources that we are going to offer before I hand back to Judy. You saw this slide earlier, or a version of it. We typically start with an SEO assessment, a content assessment, or a website assessment. One thing that we are happy to offer for attendees of the webinar today is one of these 3 at no cost. So Chris's information is down at the bottom. You can see from the invitations that you receive, you can connect with me and Chris through LinkedIn, and of course Judy as well. So any way that you want to get hold of us, feel free. This is an open offer for you guys. If you are not ready for that, you can go onto our website at the SEO website audit tool, and you can literally type in your website address and it will give you an assessment of your SEO score based on the first 5 pages that it evaluates, typically the home page plus 5 other top level pages. It takes, I don't know, about a minute to run the whole thing. You'll get a report email to you. You can see where you stand, just to give you sort of a sense of where you're at currently. And then if you want to come back and get a bigger assessment, give me or Chris a call or send us an email and we'll help you out with that. Other conversation topics that we're finding are particularly pertinent at this point in time is digital transformation for government contractors. Now, let me put this in context. Digital transformation is one of these buzzwords that's kicked around, and frankly, it doesn't really have a terribly good definition at this point. So we get to make up our own, which is kind of nice. But digital transformation in this case is, how are you moving towards engaging with your government buyers or your prospective employees or your partners when we're in a COVID world? There are no or very few in-person meetings. There are no or very few in-person conference calls and trade shows, which were common mechanisms for government contractors to engage with their target audience. So how are you transitioning through that? And we're finding a lot of people are leveraging online activities, website content, and other ways, including webinars and Zoom meetings, of course, in order to deliver on that promise. So if you're interested in that, again, reach out to me and Chris, happy to chat about it. I'm going to hand back to Judy, or actually, she has the control. She can just take it up.
This is called a seamless handoff, Simon. And with all this, with so much rehearsal. So I promised you I was going to have a handout of the 5 people you need to meet. And Adolfo, you're asking, and if you're here from a Procurement Technical Assistance Center, or you have clients who might need these resources, Ocean 5 would love to help you. Remember, we are here to build trust, give you a great engaged experience, give you a sense of how to solve some of the things that you're facing. And if we do that well, you go, maybe I need to talk to you. So we've taken you on a little bit of that journey. And so my gift to you is my handout, my ungated handout is the 5 people you need to meet, the GovCon personas. So I've got an infographic, and I'm going to go into the chat, and I'm just going to hit the button. Because if I do that well, there we go. Okay, so I want to, did we earn your trust? That show us by your clicks. All right, you can use these. There we go. I'm going to light that one up for Chris again. Click and see. Check out our stuff. And you can go and get this handout. If you get the handout and like it for me, then there's a link to get an entire ebook with how do you communicate with these folks and what do they need and what do they care about. I really extracted from some of my client notes, my notes from client sessions, what are the things people ask about getting in touch with the players at all the 5 layers. So it's a really juicy handout, but it starts with grabbing the free thing. All right, so that we've tried to give you some of that experience and show you what engagement looks like. In 32 years in the federal market, I find that the people who are successful all do these 4 things, and here they are. First, beef up and buff up your federal sales game so that you know what to do, what to say, and what to ask to connect with the players at all 5 layers. The average company spends 12 months kind of banging around and going to small business events and, fill out that profile. And that's 12 months you're not even earning any revenue. We teach that to you in 3 hours, and you've got it nailed. Companies who've been in the market for over a decade, when we go back and say, what was most valuable? They say, this thing, that this 3 hours just changed everything for us. The second piece, the second thing people do when they're successful is focus. Understanding you're part of the federal arena who buys what you do, how they buy, how much they buy, and who they're buying from, and make a confident, clear choice in 2 or 3 agencies where there's so much opportunity that you're never going to run out of people to talk to for the next 2 years. You're going to go deep. So focus is the next step. The third step is to build a methodical, systematic plan focused on just those agencies. Your average contact relationship map or sales plan shows you who you know. A great sales plan shows you who you don't know, but need to know, and gives you a methodical, systematic way to get in front of them. But the fourth piece, I've been doing this with about 75 companies for about the last 5 years, and nobody said, this is a stupid approach, it didn't work. But too many said, it was tactically brilliant. I didn't do the work. I got to own that. I said, time out. How do we fix that? And so we created a way to really help people stay engaged, do the work, use the plan. And the way that that happens is understanding what's a micro engagement, not just a micro purchase, but what are the small signs that somebody's, as Chris said, consuming your content, nibbling, they're interested, they're kind of putting up a hand in the corner. How do you notice that? How do you stay engaged with them? And you're building trust. So to be able to do that, understand where your milestones are, what's progress look like, so you can stay engaged in a few places rather than wandering around a lot of them. This is the journey. This is where success comes from. I had this conversation with a fellow this afternoon, just before we got on this call. And I said, we're so frustrated. Stuff comes out the size of our company. It's now being in NAICS codes where our company's a little too big, or it's on contract vehicles where we're not on. I'm going, hey, these are actually just a flag that relationships change everything. When stuff comes out and it's not set up for your company to win, they just don't have you in mind. What if you could talk to the right people early enough that they see you as the low risk choice. You're making it easy for them to award the work to you. That happens through relationships. All right. And so I ask you, put in the chat, and we've just wrapped up federal fiscal 2020. What percentage of your federal business came from relationships? Just put the number in the chat. What percentage of your federal wins, the fiscal year that just ended, came from relationships? Let's see what that number is. 100% says Sandra. 100% says Max. 80 says Adolfo. 100%. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. So if that's where, when you're doing your hot wash, you're looking at what worked, what didn't work, where business comes from. Somebody who's already bought from you is 12 times more likely to do business with you again than somebody who's never heard of you. Put it another way, if you're writing novels for strangers, if you're not going deeper, committing to relationships, you're working 12 times harder and spending 12 times more money than you need to. I don't know about you, but I don't have that kind of money to spare, and I bet you want to put yours to better use. So if we want to sum it up, and we've got time for questions, we want to hear your questions. Put them in the chat. We covered a lot. How important is your website? The answer is extremely. Who's searching? Players at 5 layers. And we've got an infographic for you so you can get to know them. What are they searching for? Basic contact information. They're searching for case studies. They're searching for signs that you are the low risk choice. Signs that you do things carefully. Signs that you're set up to be safe. Signs that you can do the holy trifecta. Make it easy, follow the rules, make them look good. How does content help you? The right content at the right time makes all the difference and draws people in to have them want to connect with you. And so, Mari, drop your email back in the chat again. Our friends at Market Connections have a truckload of real detail on what does a really powerful, effective content strategy look like. Thank you. Yes. And that Google's at it again. You can see from the content that Simon has provided in the review on what those truly effective measures of SEO are going to be. You've got some time to get your act together and really align to make it easier to get found in organic search, and be aware that your buyers are looking for you. So you got to look good online. So next steps then, we've got time for Q&A. So please drop your questions in the chat, but follow up. If you've got to drop off, we get it. You're going to get a follow-up email. Those of you who are asking, are we going to get the recording? Yes, you're going to get the recording. We also have a survey for you, so we want to get your feedback as well. Find out your SEO health today and get the GovCon Personas infographic. If we did a great job, then we get to start a journey together. When you do a great job in connecting with and offering content that's of interest to your federal buyers, then they're going to engage with you. Get them a sense of what you're about and the sense that you're on their side. We're on your side in the federal market. And we are delighted that you took this time to be with us. So we want to pause and ask, what one thing do you commit to trying today? Drop it in the chat. My promise to you is I was going to ask you, where are you going? What did you get out of this precious hour of your life that you spent? What was worthwhile for you? Drop it in the chat, would you? SEO audit. What else? What are you going to do? Look at analytics again. Add evaluating websites for our clients. That a Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Adolfo, I'll bet Pat's going to do that too in Minnesota. Yeah. What else? Look at Google Analytics again, says Karen. Our online health. Downloadable PDF. Thank you, Pat. Yes. I want all of you to get the players and layers. GovCon Personas. Relationships and content, says Vikram. What else? What are you committing to do based on what you've learned? I hope you're writing it down. You're getting something. In the process of updating website now, I know what to add value. SEO audit. Backlink sites video channel. Max, you are on it. Awesome. So much good info. Love the resources. Can't wait to check out links. Fantastic. We are thrilled. So did we achieve our mission today, our formal mission to identify the next step on your road to your next win, and our secret mission. Did we give you a fully engaged experience and ideas? Yes, no, yes? Did we do it? Did we get to our mission? We'd love to know. This matters. This is where it all comes together for us, being able to deliver on our promise. So, and as we wrap up, this is what it's about. It's not only are we engaged, not only are you in the chat, you're responding to us, but we met our promise. We did what we said we were going to do. That is how trust is built. Did you do what you said you're going to do? I started on time. We're going to finish at the bottom of the hour, and that means we're also taking questions. So anybody else that got any questions? In the meantime, if you have to drop off, Chris and Simon, thank you. This has been so much fun. We've been planning this and rescheduling it because we wanted to get it right. And then it got to the summer and going, you guys are all too busy. We really want to do this at a time when people are focused on the new year. So we wish you all a happy federal fiscal new year. And if you've got a question, drop it in the chat or in the Q&A. We are still here for you. And in the meantime, of course, I would also love to work with you and your team. You know where to find me. Connect on LinkedIn. And so Max wants to know, are RSS feeds still good? Simon, Chris.
Yeah, interestingly, we've seen a lot less involvement from RSS feeds. But sure, yeah, I mean, if you've got a useful way of using the RSS feed, then absolutely. I mean, RSS, for those who don't know, is pulling information from other sources and presenting it potentially out on your website, or vice versa, allowing people to connect to your website, let's say your blog, and pulling into their RSS feed so that they get automated updates on the material that you're publishing. So sure, easy, yeah.
Okay, someone else wants to know, what are RSS feeds?
So it's a bit of software, essentially. It's a program that you can use. It's an online account. You can say, hey, I want to get information from these 10 sources aggregated into one place. And it basically gives you a mechanism to pull information from different places so that you don't have to run around looking at all the different websites in order to gather information for yourself. As a website owner, you can place that feature on your website and allow people to hook up to your content through their RSS feed.
Mm-hmm. So Adolfo says, many of our small businesses are hurting financially due to COVID. Where can we refer them for costs? It'll be interesting to see what happens and whether or not economic injury disaster loans are still available from SBA, or whether or not there's another round of pandemic support for small business. So talk to your legislators. Small Business Administration may have other financial assistance available. So that might be another place to consider. If you're dropping off, please remember that you can save the chat. Some folks are asking about the chat. In the chat box down to the bar next to who you want to chat with, there's 3 little dots where it says more. You can save the chat. Okay, and so make sure that you do that. Let's see, Max wants to know, how important is the SSL via type standard SSL EV etc? I love it when people talk dirty. What is he talking about? And Simon, can you answer his question?
So no, actually I can't. That's one I'm going to refer back to my tech guys.
Okay.
But happy to reach out, Max, and give you the answer.
All right. We've got another couple of questions. Adolfo would love to. All right, great. And so we're fun questions. Other questions, other thoughts, action items. What else you got for us? We are here for you for about another couple of minutes if you've got other things that you want to ask us. Well, I'm going to drop the links here again. And so you know where you can get those. Hang on a second here. There we go. Your handouts. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a lot of ways that you could have spent your time, and you decided that you were going to spend it with us today. And we're just so incredibly grateful And so let's keep building relationships and get out there and have a fabulous fiscal 2021. Let's stay in touch, and you know where to find us. Thank you so much.
Everybody, bye.
Go forth and win.
Thank you.
All right, take care.